Hey everybody, it's Lon Seidman, and it's time for your weekly wrap-up, and we'll start with our week in review. I think I uploaded more stuff than I thought I did, actually. It really felt like I didn't do all that much this week, and then I saw, wow, I did 7 videos. So, of course, we had the big iPhone 6s review, so that is a nice new phone from Apple, but they are certainly pricing themselves now on the higher end of things, especially now that a lot of carriers here in the United States are ending their practice of providing subsidies. So there's different methods to go about purchasing one of these things, but no matter which way you look at it, they are much more expensive than many of the Android phones out there. But at the moment, at any rate, this phone is the fastest one I've tested. That is until we get another one in that might be faster. I'm sure by this time, 3 months from now, we'll have something a little bit quicker from an Android manufacturer. But at the moment, that's the fastest one I've looked at. I do hope to get the OnePlus 2 in soon, and we'll see how it stacks up against that. I also did some 4K video footage samples on both the iPhone 6s and on the Moto X Pure Edition, because I wanted to see how things started to look now that we're getting into this 4K world. I'm still doing most of my videos in 1080, but those two are in 4K, coming pretty much right out of the phones. I did run them through my editing software just to clip everything together, but I didn't do anything to the video at all and just kind of uploaded it as I grabbed it off the phone. And I'm actually pretty impressed with the Moto X's video quality, especially in 4K. I think it's a little bit better than the iPhone is. They do some kind of HDR thing on their video, especially when you've got things that are backlit. And you'll see a few sample images in that Moto X reel that's linked above, along with everything else I'm talking about, so you can get a feel for how that phone operates. But I am very impressed with its 4K video capabilities. The iPhone's no slouch, but I think the 4K on the Moto is a little bit better. So we also got our Chromebook 101 video done, where I talked about what a Chromebook is and isn't. And hopefully that will help folks out there who are out there searching. We're getting into the holiday season now, so we're going to be seeing a lot more traffic coming to the channel. So I'm trying to get a lot of things that people might be searching for ready to go. And if you have things that you think might be helpful for consumers, do let me know in the comments below, and I will try to do something like that. We took a look at the NVIDIA Shield again, this time looking at the Pro Edition, and compared it to the non-Pro version. It's pretty much the differences are the 16 gigabyte on the non-Pro to the 500 gigabyte storage on the Pro. I also ran a 3D Mark benchmark, which I didn't do initially, so you can see how it stacks up against like a flagship smartphone. And just a spoiler, it's definitely faster than every smartphone out there, including the iPhone. So it is a very quick system indeed, and really great for gaming, of course. And then we had, speaking of gaming, our big Rocket League giveaway and live stream. I brought 2 of my friends on, and we did a little Rocket League tournament just for fun. It was a lot of fun. We did it for about an hour or so. A lot of you joined in on the game. You can watch that entire stream below. And some of you have asked if we're going to do something else like this again. I think definitely. I just got to find the time that works. So, be on the lookout. I sometimes do just pop up live randomly from time to time too. So if you are a subscriber to the channel, there's a way actually, and maybe I'll do a video on this, where you can set a notification alert. So anytime I do anything, you get notified. And I think one of those notifications would be when I go live. But typically when I do just click the live button on my TriCaster here, a bunch of you just pop in right away. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll definitely do some more things like this. And maybe if you could suggest a game that's kind of like Rocket League that people can kind of get in and play. I'm looking for something unique like Rocket League. Maybe we can all try that together. The game of the month is coming up too, and I found something really cool and really obscure. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you towards the beginning of next month here. We also had a great interview with a guy, his name is Mark Todd, who invented a product called Screens that just recently launched on Kickstarter and has already been funded. Really neat way to basically bring in multiple HDMI sources from many devices into one device. So for example, if you've got a big TV, you could have a game running in a corner and watch a football game also at the same time off your cable box or something like that. But I also see a lot of value for streamers, because you can use this device to stream out with also, and you can also have chat rooms and other data kind of relayed into this also. It's got its own ARM chip on board with a Chrome browser, so you can do a lot of neat stuff with it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how it might work for some of the things that I do on the channel here. So that interview is up. It's a long one, but definitely worth watching. I also have it in audio form on my podcast feed that you can find on iTunes and other major podcasting applications out there. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really excited about that project. So let's get on to some news. And you remember last week I talked about putting in some money for the Retro VGS, and I actually withdrew my pledge to this project, and Indiegogo lets you do that. Part part of the problem is that I really don't like Indiegogo's process of collecting all the money up front, and then if it gets funded, obviously that goes on to the people creating the project, and if it doesn't, they return your money to you. But tying up $400 for 45 days just didn't seem like a really good thing for me, so I withdrew my pledge, and partly because I don't feel like this product's ready yet. There's certainly a lot of vitriol out there. If you go to the Atari Age forums, you'll see probably several hundred pages now of people debating whether or not this system is viable or not. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I got an interview that I did with the co-founder of this project, Mike Kennedy, which is linked above also in the big wrap-up playlist. Where he talks about this system, which is basically a way of bringing back cartridge gaming, and they were developing a mechanism by which people that are developing games for old consoles like the Atari 2600 or the Nintendo could actually write those games for those old systems and then run them through an FPGA chip on this device. And what that would basically do is have a piece of hardware that simulates, not emulates, the actual processors from these old devices, which might have been a really cool concept. The problem I have with this project is just that I don't feel like they're ready. I feel like they've got 3 people that are very talented in their own disciplines coming together, but they're not communicating very well with each other. There's some things that popped up this week where the hardware engineer actually said that he doesn't say things to Mike, who's the marketing lead CEO, about what he's working on because he doesn't want Mike to go out and say stuff. I mean, it's just kind of weird that you'd have 3 people who are partners in a business not talking to each other on things that are very important. So, for example, when they went over to Indiegogo, they said they went there because they don't have a working prototype, and then the hardware guy comes up later this week and says, oh, well, there are prototypes. In fact, our developers have them, and the only reason why we haven't publicly displayed them is because we don't want to jeopardize our patent rights, which is a legitimate reason not to display things publicly, because once you do a public demo of something, even if you don't describe how it works, there's a 1-year countdown that begins the minute you kind of demo that. But if they were really that concerned about it, maybe they should have waited a year, got their patent applications in order, filed those patents, and then publicly demonstrated the product. So this feels like they're rushing this thing. And I think part of it, too, is that some of the backlash they're getting, I mean, some of it's just over the top and just not fair to these guys, but I think the bigger backlash that they're getting is that in the crowdfunding environment, I feel like people want these companies that are making this stuff to be risking at least as much as they're asking their backers to risk. And I don't feel like I think people feel like they're risking a little too much of their own money to make this project a reality, so it's kind of stuck in limbo. So I think what they should do is just draw it back at this point. They've got a lot of people that have already committed money to it. I'm willing to recommit if they could really just draw this back and kind of restart it and have a conversation with their audience. I mean, this is a very tight-knit community that they're going after for this, and I think it would make sense at this point to stop what they're doing, take a breather, get everybody kind of in a virtual room somewhere to talk about what they want this system to be, and then relaunch it once they have an idea. Because right now it's still not all put together. I don't think they've been very clear about what they've got. I don't think they really know what they're putting together just yet, even though they say they do. And I just can't recommend it anymore, and I'm going to pull my money back, and I think people need to wait on this one before we move too much further on that. So that's my 2 cents on the Retro VGS. And I appreciate everyone that wrote in to comment on that. Another neat thing I just found, this is just one of these random bits. You remember we did that review of the Eco tank, or the Eco tank on the Epson printers, where they're going to now give you a big inkwell rather than having you buy expensive cartridges. Well, they did some wacky PR thing in New York City where they just rented out a tub and put a bunch of synchronized swimmers in there to make it look like they were swimming in ink. And it's just one of these things where it's just, some PR person gets an idea and then they just kind of run with it. But it just really goes to show you what goes into marketing these products. I just felt like it was kind of an interesting thing just to kind of see how this industry works, and that they're doing anything they can to try to get attention from folks, and I'm sure that likely did. So synchronized swimming in virtual ink at this point. It wasn't real ink, because if it was, you wouldn't be able to see the swimmers, but pretty cool stuff there. So this week, we got a couple things coming up. I'm going to be doing a how does Photoshop run on inexpensive computers video, because I keep getting that question over and over again on all of these low-end computer reviews that I did. So I'm going to be taking this one, the HP, the new tablet that we looked at. It's running with an Atom Base Rail processor, which is very representative of many of the low-end PCs. We're going to run a couple things on Photoshop on it and see how it works. The reason why I don't usually do Photoshop in my reviews is because Adobe makes it impossible to quickly uninstall and reinstall this software on multiple machines because of how their cloud stuff works and the licensing and everything. It's a real pain in the you-know-what. So I'm going to make one video where I can just kind of direct people to see how things kind of run on low-end hardware. We also have a new dock from Kensington. This is one of those USB 3 docks with display out on it. So you saw that one we looked at from Sabrent a few weeks ago. This is another one but this one can do 4K video. So we're going to test that on my TV in the next room, so that should be coming up this week. We also have that Android TV box from Transmart I'll be looking at. My one disappointment with it is that it's not running the Android TV interface. So it's running Android 5.1 Lollipop, but not the TV interface that we're seeing on the NVIDIA Shield and many of the other devices like the Nexus Player, which is weird, but that's what it is. But we'll test it out with Kodi and a few other things. And I think for heavy-duty home theater users, it might be enough, but we'll put it through its paces and see how it performs. And I'm going to New York on Wednesday for one of these big PepCom events. And this is where a whole bunch of manufacturers get into one room, and then you just kind of run around the room for 3 hours and talk to as many people as you can. And that's where my little quick hit videos come from. So you may see a bunch of those coming up towards the end of the week. So stay tuned. I got some neat stuff that'll be there ahead of the holiday season. So I'm really eager to see what's out there, and hopefully I'll get a couple of these quick hit videos done. I'm going by myself. I don't have a camera person with me this time, so if you live in New York City and have nothing to do on Wednesday night, drop me a line. Maybe we'll meet up and you can help me out. Last thing, if you want to help the channel, you can go to lon.tv/Patreon and make a monthly contribution to the channel. I also have YouTube fan funding set up at lon.tv if you want to make a one-time contribution. You know the deal on this. Every little bit helps the channel, and these funds go into helping to buy the things that I review on the channel and then resell, because I lose a lot of money on those transactions. So every little bit helps. And if you want to connect with the channel, you sure can. We've got our email list at lon.tv/email, the forums at lon.tv/forums, and of course our Facebook page at lon.tv/Facebook. So that will do it for this week's weekly wrap up. Do keep in touch. Let me know what's on your mind, and you can leave those comments below. This is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.